Welcome, friends, and join us for some Galactic Gardening, a podcast where we boldly bite into the proverbial forbidden apple and chew what the universe unfolds through conversation. In today's talk, I'm talking with Tarzana, and you are going to quickly make sense of why that nickname is germane to her. We touch on all sorts of topics, including what it's like to grow up in a swamp, society, and a few controversial ideas. Be unashamed to be curious, because there is no judging here. As we discuss these subjects with wide open minds, enjoy the listen. My friend Tarzana, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you.
And
Glad to be back.
Well, CJ and Tarzana are just going to let it roll and we're going to talk about whatever comes to mind. But I have a few rapid fire questions and I think they're fun. So
Okay.
the first one is, if you could win any award, what would it be and why? Don't think too long, just what
That's
comes
a
to
hard
mind.
one because I never really wanted awards. I more just wanted appreciation.
I like that.
Yeah, I never really, you remember, I used to sign and give awards to so many people for so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
But I really, the reward of having people remember you and the activities that you did with them, that's enough. I don't need a
So
plaque
no
on the wall.
award, just appreciation.
Yes.
I like that. So, what was the last thing you liked on social media?
Okay, I'm not very friendly with social media. I only
Okay, but
play
when you're
with
going
one.
through Instagram and you're flipping through your Instagram account, what's the last thing you liked that you put a little heart on?
The last thing I put a heart on was a beautiful garden.
Oh, which beautiful garden? I mean, what was it? What was it like? Was it?
It was just someone showing vegetable garden lovers. I don't know what it was, but
Okay.
it just shows people when they've grown their fruit. And it was a picture of a woman with this pumpkin that she grew, and I just loved her pleasure. And this is what I grew.
Oh
This is
yeah,
the product of my labor.
yeah. There's something big about
I
growing your own
really
stuff.
only follow garden people and people who do lots of animals. Like, I love to look at the animal stuff, cute animal stuff.
Oh, I
love
want to
that.
sidetrack on that. Why do you tell our audience why you love animals so much and how that began?
Probably since I was a kid.
Because,
I was raised in a swamp.
yeah.
Always lived in the woods, and we've always had dogs. And when you live in the woods, you have access to all kinds of critters: armadillos, raccoons, snakes, and turtles, and squirrels. And basically, if it's been alive, I've had it. Spiders, praying insects. I think I was 2 years old and I had a pet roach, and I used to walk around with a baby food bottle with a roach in it.
Are
I've
you
always
kidding me?
I've always loved critters. I love them. I've always kept everything. Yeah.
What did you told me once a while ago, you had a collection of snakes.
Oh yeah. That's what I did. I was a snake woman.
Where'd you find them? I mean,
Well, see, I lived in the woods, so in Florida there's a lot of snakes.
and you,
I used to go out and catch snakes. That's what I did.
how old were you?
Oh God, probably. I've been hanging out in the woods since I was a little girl, but we always got to walk out in the woods and roam around.
From what age?
We were free range children. We were free range
Well,
children.
that's something
you
we
know.
don't see anymore. But
You
what
could
age
walk-
did your mother let you go out of the house into the woods by yourself?
Well,
Were
when you
5,
live in the woods
6?
and your yard is the woods,
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
so you've always been hanging out in the woods.
Yeah.
So I used to go climb up the tree and sit and watch things. And
Like, were you 7, 8?
7, 8, and by the time I was 12 or 13, like, I would make me a sandwich, peanut butter and jelly, tied up in a bandana, tied on my stick, and I'm going out in the swamp.
Really, like the hobo picture?
Yeah.
Just like that.
I used to collect snakes because there's so many snakes.
But
there were scarlet
how
king
did you
snakes.
know?
Because I looked in books. I was just so into snakes, and also my mother was into snakes. We always had snakes.
But you knew which ones you could pick up and which ones not to touch.
Yeah.
And what if you came across like a poisonous snake? What would you do? Just get away? Move back? Would you mess with it? Would you play
generally,
with it?
When I go out in the woods, I have a machete. And I like to give them clear passage. You go on, and I'm going to let them go on. And like the moccasins, I've been standing on them and they didn't bite me. And they're just like, you go on your way, I'll go on my way. But if they don't get out of the way, I'll chop their head off. It's like...
What are you afraid of?
Actually, as far as physical things, really not nothing. I'm really, the only thing that really I've ever been afraid in my life is just really loss. Loss of loved ones. Loss of the people that you love, and to feel like you're not with them. That's really always been my anxiety. But yeah, when I moved away from home, I had a gun. I had a little 25.
I didn't know that.
And I was working in one of these alarms companies, and I worked this graveyard, and I stayed late or something, and I was coming home about 2:30 in the morning, and I was walking through the complex. Well, they had a car park, and you had to walk through this pathway in between the buildings to get to your building. And I rode the bus, city transport, and when I was walking down this pathway where it becomes a little bit dark, all of a sudden I felt this hair on my neck.
How creepy.
And I turned around, and a motherfucker had a pantyhose over his head, his face, and his hands were up, probably about 30 centimeters away from me.
Oh, my.
And when I saw that, the first thing I said was, "Motherfucker!"
That's
and
terrifying.
I just went after him. I forgot I had a gun.
Oh.
I just went to beat his goddamn ass and then couldn't catch him.
Oh, it's terrifying.
I was like, I was going to beat the goddamn hell out of him. Motherfucker! He thought he was going to walk up behind me and just grab me.
That's interesting you had that reaction, because as a woman, I think I would be in shock. I think I'd be so freaked out. I don't know, but I like that your reaction was.
My reaction is always beat the hell out of them first. I look, if I'm in a room and I see men and I'm getting a little bit pissed, I'm looking at that lampshade. I'm looking at a stick, because I'm gonna jag it in your neck.
Where did that come from?
I've been a tomboy my whole life.
Okay.
I've been a tomboy.
Yep.
And that's why I call myself Tarzana. I wanted to be Tarzan.
It makes sense.
But I was a girl, so
Yeah.
I had to be Tarzana.
Did you watch Tarzan,
Oh,
the
yeah,
show?
I loved it.
I love Tarzan.
I ate it up.
How does
I
that
used
sound
to beat
go?
my chest. Bitch chest. I
Remember
had to now. But yeah, I loved it. I used to swing on vines and climb trees, and
That's amazing.
I was the kid that, don't tell me I dare you. Because it was done. I got in so much trouble because don't
But
dare
you
me.
weren't afraid.
No, I never really had that sense of fear.
I need to share with the audience. I actually visited you in the swamp where you own a property, and I was terrified. There were panther and boar and those spiders the size of my hand. And
Banana spiders.
Jesus, I was terrified. I had to literally calm myself down to feel comfortable. And you were walking through like it was your living room. You were not afraid at all.
It was whenever there was too much going on, I went to the woods.
Yeah.
I like that solitude. I like to watch things. And when I was like 13, there was I'd go in this one area of the woods that we didn't own, and the owners let me go there. And there was this, swamps, they have like little areas that's more bigger than some other areas and stuff. there was a bullfrog. I wanted that bullfrog. It's like, I'm going to sit in a tree for an hours or whatever. I never could catch him, but I watched him eat a bird.
A bullfrog
eat a bird. I watched him do so. I mean, I observed nature, and I loved it. It always calmed me.
When you say you wanted that bullfrog, did you want to take it back to your home and keep it in your room like a pet?
Yeah.
And you would feed it?
Yeah. I stopped raising rats when I was probably about 40 to feed my menagerie of reptiles, because I've always loved reptiles.
Okay.
Yeah, I've always collected reptiles. Turtles, lizards, snakes. I just love them. I just love them.
And having them around you inside your home.
Yeah, but of course I've always had my mammals.
Yeah.
The ultimate pet is a dog, but I've been very enamored with my newest pet, only of 6 years, the parrot. But, I like to talk, and for him to be able to talk back, oh my gosh. And he's loving. Yeah, I'm really into that now. But I've always had a lot of animals, and I've always loved sharing animals with people.
Well,
it's something that you can really enjoy.
Yeah.
And to introduce nature to people who haven't really saturated themselves in it. And I really got that from my mother.
Right.
She hiked us through the swamps and to the rivers, carry your backpack and sleep out and rough it out.
Were there kids growing up with you that weren't as comfortable in the environment of the swamp as you were? Were there kids?
Always. Like my mother did scouting and...
But were there kids that weren't willing to pick up the snakes, the
Oh yes. There's a lot of them.
They grew up just as you did.
Well, do you know what I really was surprised? Even when I was a teenager, how many people who live in a wooded, say in Florida, who live in a wooded area, but never actually went and explored those woods. They only go to the paths that have been created for you.
That's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, if you ever get a piece of land that has never been cleared and you cut everything out yourself,
Well, let's face it, though, for someone like me living in a place like Florida, I'm thinking gators and bears and poisonous snakes, spiders that are an overhanging palm that could come down and bite me on the neck. You never had that fear as a child.
No.
Why?
No.
Were you ignorant to it and you just learned that?
No, I was taught what things to be, what to be afraid of. But,
okay.
Spiders, they're taking away catching bugs, and generally, like those banana spiders, generally they're not going to drop from their nest just to bite you.
It's if you walk into their net.
And, even like those moccasins, I have been gardening on a stump one time. I wanted to clear a section, and there's this stump, and I'm like, I hit it with my hatchet and jugged my machete through it to make sure there was no snake in it. I was working like a Tasmanian devil to clear that little section of land. I wanted it clear.
And this was for...
And I was chopping and hacking and cutting after about 2 hours when I realized you probably need to stop now and slow down, take a rest. I stepped off that log, and when I stepped off of it, my other foot caved in on the log. And when it caved in, you could see a massive moccasin snake. And I was like, holy fuck shit. And I looked at that snake and I said, well, thank you for not biting me all this time. I've been stepping on you.
What the heck?
And I said, but I'm going to go in the house and you better be gone when I get back or I'm going to kill you because I need to finish this gardening. I give them a chance to get gone. And they generally I have been in so many situations, really snakes and stuff, they want to get the hell away from us.
I get
they want to get the hell away from people.
Right. They're only attacking to protect a nest.
They're backed
eggs.
into the corner, and moccasins, they're in pairs and they breed, and there's some reason.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so
I get
I
it.
and like spiders, like I'm not kidding you. If one just unexpectedly jumps on me, I'm gonna scream like somebody else. But when I realize it's on me, I'm gonna smush it.
Okay.
You know, so I think I was probably about 12 when I decided, okay, you need to feel more comfortable with spiders. So I just got tarantulas and let them walk all over me
Oh
so I could.
God.
I like to face a fear as
Oh,
far
I
as
could
those
never do
type of
that with a
things.
tarantula. Don't tarantulas bite?
Generally not. No, they're
But
pretty.
can
They're
they
pretty.
bite you?
Yeah, anything can bite you. Anything can bite you. Everything can bite you.
Oh.
But when it bites you, does it hurt? Does it hurt if you feel something little tiny little pinch? Does that hurt?
Yeah, but I don't want to let it do it. I don't know why. I just have
I'm
this
just like, well,
weird
let's see what you
feeling
got,
about
buddy.
it.
It's like bring it on.
Oh my God.
I used to
No,
get bit by
thank you.
snakes because it's like if you play with a cat, you're going to get scratched. So
Oh.
you can expect some things. So if you're going to handle snakes, you have to expect that you're going to get bit. So I've been bit so many times. I've had a boa constrictor that I had to just peel his head off of me and his mouth off of me just to peel it off of me. And it's just like 4 little bites,
no,
4 little
you.
blood marks, and it's like over in 20 minutes.
Feels like it's gonna eat your arm, and you're just peeling off its head.
Yeah, but it's once you get it off, it's just 4 little dots of blood.
And you're not worried about germs or anything getting in
Oh,
there?
honey,
Or
I'm a peroxide freak.
peroxide. Talk
Yeah,
to
let's
me.
burn it out.
Hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah,
you
just
pour
pour
it
it
all
over it, burn it out.
What about betadine?
Oh, betadine, that's my when we're gonna get settled and we're gonna clean up and we'll wash it every day with some betadine. But yeah.
All right.
I love betadine. I love peroxide.
You know your stuff.
I just like to feel it burn out. I like that bubbling. For me, it's like psychologically, that's just taking out the germs. I don't know, something about it. I like it.
Well, speaking of germs, all the germs floating among us. Do you think we're getting overly paranoid about catching COVID and
No,
catching?
I think we're being absurdly ridiculous by not respecting not what the hell's going on. It's like 100 years ago. Every 100 years this has gone on.
That's right.
Even in the Bible, they're like, cover yourself, stay in your home. They could understand it. Now, in the 1800s, the states that tried to ask people to cover, they had less deaths. And every time there's a plague, the second little bloom comes around, more people die. So why do we think we're going to be any different? Because we have media to tell us that, hey, this is stupid that you do this, or, really. It's like, that's why I always hated history. Why the hell are they going to force us to learn history when they fucking know that nobody's going to learn anything from the fucking past? We're just doomed to repeat everything. So don't cram that shit down my face if you're not going to even study it yourself. And
Well,
not
tell
even
us
learn
the
from
stories, but we're not going to learn from it. Yeah,
it.
good point.
It's like,
But do you think the way they teach it is why we don't learn from it? Do you think it has to do something with the delivery of how it's fed to our kids and people? Because people who are genuinely interested in history and read history out of a genuine interest and hobby, they seem to learn more than people who are taught history. Would you agree with that?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I hated history. I resented it.
Mm-hmm.
But there were things that I remembered from that history.
Yeah.
Because they stuck out when the things of the Holocaust and things that were horrific.
Right.
And people died. These have a way of,
tweaking your emotions.
Yes, so it's something that's going to be a part of your life. You're going to remember it. That's part of your memory, of your life. So I just think basically society hasn't learned anything. We're still hostage to egos.
Wow.
We haven't learned anything. And we're too proud. We think we're just too fucking smart nowadays that we wouldn't have to do anything that we did in the past.
We had a good long nap, as some people have said. And we didn't have a lot of well, we did, but we didn't have, like you said, for 100 years, something like this pandemic hit us. And people seem to think now it's just, it's okay. A lot of people aren't dying. But wait, look how many people just died. Come on, folks.
Okay, I get so sick of hearing people say, I haven't met anybody who died, and I'm like, well, do you believe there's 50 states in America? You know, you can't see them all at once, but you still know they're there.
Well, that's right.
You know, excuse me.
That's a good
and
way
then,
to put it.
oh, how dare they tell us what to do? Are you fucking kidding me? You can't get in your fucking car without them telling you to have insurance. You can't have your fucking driver's license without getting this paper or that. You can't go into a store without fucking shoes or shirt.
Well,
You
that's
have to
right.
put on a fucking seatbelt.
Yep.
You have to put your kids in a car seat.
Yep.
Do you know what? You even have to stop at a fucking stop sign, because that's another goddamn thing telling you what the fuck to do for the good of us all.
Well,
So just be a citizen and just do what the fuck you're supposed to do, and shut the fuck up and stay home if you don't like it.
Amen to that. Well put.
Be a
Tarzana.
good citizen. Be a good citizen and wear a goddamn mask. It's like it's going to kill you.
Least you can do.
It's the least you can do.
And it's going to save your own
And
ass.
you know what? Those people that they don't want to wear a mask and they want to congregate, well, they don't want to pay for taking care of the states. So if you don't want to mitigate, don't come to our fucking hospitals. Don't use our essential workers. Stay the fuck at home and ask one of your maskless friends to come and tend to you.
Well, there you go.
Okay,
Well,
I'm
I think
sorry.
you've said.
I get very angry about it because
said it all, and I completely understand your rage because
people are dying, and it's like, oh, there's 360 million people in America.
Yeah.
So if you can believe that, how come you can't believe how, I don't have to see all those people at one time to believe that they're, I could never see them at all at one time to believe that they're dying.
Is the world is taking all these measures, not because it's a joke. I don't believe how many people think it's a hoax still, even after all we've been through, all the countries that are suffering, that are going through lockdowns, that are,
they're doing the work so they can have their economy.
Yeah.
You see, back in the old days, we used to think that we reward hard work. We don't reward bullshit and hype and facade.
I know. I just, when you hear the argument from people that I don't want a government telling me what I can and cannot do.
Well, that's what they do every fucking day.
If you don't want a government telling you what you can and cannot do, go live as a hunter and gatherer out in the woods and not in our society. Because when you live in a society, you agree to the rules and laws of that society so that you can benefit of living where you have police that'll come when you call 911, where you have firemen who'll come when your house is on fire, where you have doctors who'll treat you when you've been in a horrible car crash or something other, that's just nefarious and horrible. But if you want to live on your own, without those laws and rules of the society,
without the society's infrastructure and backbone, yes,
with taxes and whatnot, go live out in the middle of nowhere by yourself and see how well you get on. Yeah. It's stop all this me and start thinking about we.
Yes.
We are a society.
And really, to have the states bid against each other for PPE.
Oh, I know. It's just
I'm going to tell you, I want to slap the shit out of a lot of fucking people over that. How dare you? How dare you make us compete? We are all
the United States. I know.
We're the United States of America. We're not Republican or Democrat.
We are a republic, and we have failed our people in a way that is distressing to watch from abroad and afar. Yeah. And to see the way other countries are absorbing our
knowledge, our CDC guidelines.
Oh, I know it.
It's like when countries that apply our knowledge, they're doing so much better than us.
Yes, they are.
We're the worst.
Yep.
And then to have someone get on, hey, everything is fine. It's like, America needs to wake up and decide, does truth matter?
Wow.
Does truth matter?
Yeah.
Does truth matter? Does taking an honor on my honor? Because if the truth doesn't matter and you can just lie to the public, please don't take an oath swearing on that Bible, okay? Don't be sacrilegious. Don't swear on a Bible. Don't swear to any religion. Don't swear to anything if you don't have to tell the truth.
Right.
Because the truth matters.
And when you don't tell the truth to your people, you're turning our country into a banana republic. Thank you very much.
And it's like Americans know how to prepare. Be prepared. That's the whole concept of scouting. Be prepared, I'd rather be safe than sorry, okay?
Yes,
Let's
right.
be safe than sorry. And all those people who keep saying, I don't know anyone, it's very unfortunate that in this fall they may know someone. And then when they know someone, then they start to have that realization.
Well, it's getting worse. Ireland, I think 5 or 6 weeks of lockdown. Wales, 2 or 3 weeks of lockdown enforced now. All over Europe, enforced lockdowns. So it's not looking great. And it is wave number 3. Not wave number 2. This is wave number 3. But I'm going to pivot here and go to one other subject before I let you go for this podcast. And this is... this can get controversial, but I want your definition of racism. If you can give it to me, and I hear you.
Okay, that's hard because I'm raised Southern.
Yeah.
And I really heard repeatedly my whole life about them niggers and Jews. I hate to even say the words, as I became an adult.
I might have to cut that word out. The N word for fear of...
Yeah, you need to cut it out but I'm just saying that.
But for the record, let's go back to...
So
you're going back to a period of time where people regularly use that term like that.
I'm just saying that it's very hard for generations of people who've been raised where this is the norm to stop. But then when I got older in high school and had more interactions with them, and even in elementary school, I had many black friends and was persecuted by my white relatives for having black friends. But racism comes in many different forms. I've gone to many countries and say, oh, we don't have racism because it's not towards the black. It's just towards the Indians or the Egyptians or some other nationality.
I hear what you're saying.
So when I went abroad, I started seeing racism different because even in England, I lived in England for some time, and people will say, well, where are you from? Because England is a melting pot. So this is a normal question. They mean, where's your national origin?
Right.
I'm Middle Eastern, I'm Indian, I'm Pakistani, I'm from these islands,
right.
I'm from this, but in America, when they say where you're from, in the South, it's like I'm from this state or that state. It doesn't mean a country.
Right.
So in America, it really seems to be more white and black.
Yeah.
But in the rest of the world, it's really your passport.
Well, this is true, yeah.
So I think, racism is very hard to erase from societies because you can't help, you don't choose your parents.
Yeah.
You don't choose how you are raised.
Where you're born.
But then when you come adults, and for me, I love meeting people. So I have some black friends. I have a multinational group of friends, and I stopped judging them on really the color of their skin or just the way they are as a human being. Do they have empathy?
Yeah.
Are they real?
Yeah.
Do they just constantly present a facade?
Yeah.
Are they high maintenance? And for me, it's like I can be friendly with anybody and everybody as long as they don't tread on me, and I won't tread on them.
I hear you.
So.
Yes.
But people really do, I have gotten angry with some of my family members, because we really, we went to Bible study, and it's really heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavy and grain, and I said, I got really sick of, why y'all teach us all those little fucking songs you don't believe in? Jesus loves all the children of the world, all the colors, red, brown, black, and blue, and purple, whatever. You don't believe that.
Right. Yeah,
so
hypocrites.
I saw hypocrisy very early on.
Right.
And I think seeing that from the religious side, seeing a preacher like, oh, I get to tag every woman because they all like me, and noticing this and noticing these things, because I've been, for some reason, focused on men.
Well, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
And
you paid attention.
I paid attention, and I just find it so hypocritical. I hated to see the hypocrisy.
I understand.
So
yeah,
that made me need to call it out.
Oh boy.
And then people hate you.
Oh, yes,
my
they do.
God, because oh my God, we don't want to go into the patriotic system, how I feel about that.
Oh,
in this
I
podcast,
understand what part you're talking about.
Definitely the hypocrisy really eats me alive. And I always love the Bible story, and I hate that I can't remember the verses, but the disciples were slagging this woman who was helping the lepers and giving water to a sick person and giving water to a dog.
Yeah.
And he said, she'll go to heaven before you.
I recall.
Do you know this concept?
Yeah.
And it's like, really?
Helping
even,
the meek.
It's like, to me, a strong person is a person who can admit they made a mistake, because you can never improve if you're never wrong. There's no hope for any improvement, striving for better or more equal or anything if you're never wrong.
The most important thing in life is to admit you're wrong and accept that you've made a mistake and be okay with it. And that is difficult.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest lessons of maturity, in my opinion, is learning to just say, hey, I was wrong. I made a mistake. I messed up. I'm sorry. And then acknowledging to the other person if you've wronged somebody.
Yes, that's
letting
very critical.
Them know
that's very critical.
You have
I
to
think
tell
so
them.
many marriages can be saved by... I saw this TV thing, and they had this old couple that married like 60 years. I'm like, how could they be married for 60 years? I mean, they were babies when they got
I know, right?
married,
They got married when they were 10.
And the husband says, I'm going to tell you right now, all you got to do is learn how to give a sincere apology.
Well, that man deserves the Nobel Peace
And
Prize.
she was hugging him, and
that's all a woman wants to hear. Absolutely.
Well,
and vice versa, I suppose.
Yes, we want someone to...
People want to be acknowledged when they've been wronged.
Yes.
Properly. They literally need to hear, I did ABC to you, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry I did that. I was wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I hurt you. And so much bullshit could be cleared up in the world if people would just say, I was wrong, and admit what they did and say, that was a mistake. I apologize.
have a really great friend now who I had to almost beat him up. And
you're not saying her, you're saying him.
Him.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm much more gentler on women than I am men, for some reason, in my tomboy self.
Okay. Well, I'm glad about that.
Not that
I don't want to cross your path.
I've always
I'd be afraid.
I've always been more gentle, but with the guys, I don't give them an inch.
Why?
I guess because the society just gives men too much respect. That's undue respect.
It has, although I do believe it's changing, but I do look at certain countries where women are trapped in the Middle East and under certain indoctrinations. They have very little choice over their lives in ways that we may not understand. Maybe the way they're raised and the way it's presented to them is acceptable and okay.
But I don't see the Middle Eastern women, I don't consider them indoctrinated, because the exact same thing that you said applies to all women.
Well, that's a good point.
All women.
Yeah, you're right.
And I have seen Middle Eastern women, to me, I found them to be far more refreshing and far more liberal, in the sense that they have realistic demands from a man.
Well, this is a good point. They
have
actually,
realistic demands. You've got to be able to afford to take care of me and the children before you can marry me. Whereas America, I love him and we're going to build it together and we'll get through thick and thin together. And
well, that's true, actually.
I don't feel them.
Well, if they
a weakened
marry
sense
in an honorable situation where the man actually honors, he's going to pay her a salary, he's going to give her a dowry, he's going to take care of her, he's going to provide for her. She doesn't have to worry about all the things that a lot of women in the West have to worry about, like feeding their children, We know there are men that don't honor that honor, but
yes.
There are many that do. Most of them do.
Most men do.
I would think most of them do.
Most of them do.
And they take care of those women, and they take that honor of that marriage as, you are now under my protection and my care.
Yes.
And I'm going to look after you and treat you like my mother or my sister.
Yes.
But you're my wife. And in a way, they actually honor their wives even more, because she becomes the of
mother of their
child.
Son. Yes.
And she holds that honor. Now you're the mother of my child. That's an even bigger honor.
Yes. And
you sowed my seed.
Yes. And in every society, unfortunately, men are on the honor system. Okay. Yeah. They're on the honor system. At least in America, we have some deadbeat dad laws. But, you know.
Yeah.
And women all over the world, I really don't see it so different, because they're trapped into the family that they're married into the little culture,
Yep.
And most of the times, my biggest problem with the world is the patriotic system.
Yeah.
I don't think men by nature should be the leaders. I just don't believe in that.
You believe it should be a marriage, or let's just say, let me just clean this up a little bit, and the way I'm interpreting it, and from what I know of you, you see it more like, when you form a union, it could be man, woman, 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 man, man, whatever. You're a team.
Yes.
To raise beings.
Yes.
To raise our little offspring of whatever we've adopted.
To shoulder
or
the responsibilities of your union.
How beautifully put. I couldn't have put it better than that.
That's
We're
it.
shouldering the responsibility.
To carry the weight together, equally.
Or, I'll always argue this, whatever you can do, whatever I can do, it's always 100%. I hate the divvying out thing.
You see, I'm against the divvying out again, because grown-ups do what needs to be done. So if I come home and I see this needs to be done and I'm home and you're not, I'll just go ahead and do it. I don't need to wait to go to you to get home to say this is your thing that you should do.
Fine, and it goes both ways, because
it does.
And you're just trying to get to the single goal of, let's just relax and be happy at the end of a long day.
Yes.
We've both worked hard. We've both put in what we've got.
And, let's relax and so that we can snuggle at night or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's have this,
and love our babies and
comfort.
cuddle and
let's
be
have
happy.
This comfort,
Instead of griping over who did or didn't do this or that, or do the dishes.
And I hate to say it, but the men are whiners, okay? It's like, if I wash the dishes, I did the dishes for you.
Well, here's where it gets complicated.
But not all men are like that.
No, I know they're not. And thank goodness not all women are, taking advantage of a situation. And this is my next point. A lot of men, in the old traditional way, they had to go work every day. They had to go and bring the money home. So they had this great situation where, okay, I got to go to
Food's
work.
on the table.
You get to stay home, and you're going to be the carer of our children. You're going to take care of them. You're going to make sure the house is looked after. Because I think not in some countries. I mean, in some countries, you've got situations where they have house staff that cook, clean, do all the work that needs to be done around the house, even the child care. And the woman gets to sit at home and basically look pretty for the man when he comes home. She's more of a, and kind of
an object.
Okay, an object. There you go. I don't like to call her that, but she does. But you do get the ones that work. They go to work. They contribute. They earn their pocket money, or they contribute with their pocket money. You don't know the situation, but our society has come to a time where the girl and the man, or the girl and the girl, or the man, they both have to work to make ends meet.
Yes.
So times have changed, and maybe someone enjoys doing certain roles over the other, and you divvy them up that way.
Yeah.
But sometimes, don't you think, from our generation, there are certain roles that they have stuck in their head that we're supposed to do that they're not?
Yeah. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, I prefer them to take care of my truck, but if you don't want to take care of it, I can do it my fucking self.
I can't.
You know what I'm saying?
I do. But
I mean, there are things that I would like for my husband to do for me, but if he's busy and he doesn't have the time to do it, I just go ahead and do it myself because I don't want to wait. It's called impatience.
So now we're becoming more of a homogeneous being. We are people that can pretty much do everything ourselves for ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't matter your gender. And
no, because we are meant to comfort each other. You know, we're not meant to go through this alone.
Right.
You know,
there are things I can offer you.
I just believe in children having more than one parent. Because, you know, when you have more than one, you know, a father and a mother, or two mothers, or I like them to be in a cohesive family.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? In some type of unit.
Cheering each other on.
Because, you know, every person is a different individual. So I always feel like the more people that are around to love a child, the more loved the child is. The more people love on him.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I get you.
But I see so much now that, you know, they get married when they're teenagers and they got a kid, and then they marry in their 20s and they get a kid, and they've got 2-3 kids from different parents, and this kid stays at this home, and they're half in this home and half in this home, and
it's got to be really
just
tough.
It's tough for the kids, you know. And then, oh, well, you can't have this person see this kid, or I don't want this kid to see this one. I'm like, you know,
it's a mess.
Kids need to be around as many people that can love them or are willing to love them.
I like
you know,
that.
So
I agree.
It's like, I don't have grandchildren yet, but, you know, if the other grandparents want to spend time and love on them, they should get that time. The kids shouldn't be kept away from people because...
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You should
assuming
anyone.
that person is not a pervert and is going to attack your child. You know what I mean?
But why would you rob anyone of love?
Yes, that's how I see it. Why would you rob them of that love? That is wanting to give them love.
Why would you ever rob anyone of that?
Yeah. And
That's
people
beautiful.
need that. That's how we live in society, you know?
Yeah.
And that goes back to, again, men can be leaders, but you know, history has showed us that they're not really good at it. Is because, you know, again, the
some
ego.
Some aren't really good at
it. Some are really good. You know, I loved Obama.
Yeah.
You know, because he demonstrated empathy. Mm-hmm. The key word is empathy and compassion. And selflessness, where you're not, everything isn't on the prism of me.
Right.
And that's what I think mothers do. You know, it's like you might stay in a marriage for years that you know isn't healthy for you because you want your kids, you know.
You sacrifice.
You sacrifice for your kid. That's what love is. It's sacrifice, isn't it?
That's true.
There's a lot of sacrifice, but it shouldn't be a sacrifice that is detrimental to you at some point.
Well, absolutely. You're right.
But that's another subject. But I'm hoping this fall that people realize that we can't have Thanksgiving together. You know, y'all take your own meal, and if you do come together to have a meal, let's do ice cream parlor tables. Remember the ice cream parlor tables where there were tiny little tables, can only sit two?
Oh yeah, what a great idea.
You know, so
set
just
people up.
spread the tables all out
Get
in your
inventive.
family, you know.
Yeah. And if you live in a great climate, have it outdoors.
Yeah.
And if you're in the cold, spread the tables out.
Spread it out, you know, and have small
Two
groups.
tops.
Two tops. And
that's a great idea.
you know, and you know how there's the old-fashioned punch bowl? You know how they used to serve the punch?
Yep, big bowl of...
And then in Halloween, there used to be this bowl where you put your eyes are covered and you put your hands in it, fill it. And I'm thinking I should do some type of sterilization bowl. That's fun.
Big...
where you stick your hand in.
Get a prize out of the sterilization.
Get a prize out of the sterilization.
Well, I love that. That's a great Halloween idea.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, dig deep into... What's that gel called? I don't know, they call it hand gel, and just put a bunch of treats or toys in the hand gel.
Yeah.
Pick out your toy.
Things. Yeah, I like that.
Well, I think society is changing faster in this last year than it has in the last 100 years. And I think we woke up to a new world, and we're willing to work with it. I think everyone is going to be forced to come on board, and they will. It's just a matter of time.
You know, we always say there's never a change unless there's a big precipice for change. You know, there's some really big reason.
Yeah.
And I think if anything that the American president did is hopefully he helped the pendulum swing in the opposite direction.
Well, I think...
And then maybe we will slow down and settle in the middle of equality.
Well, I hope so, because the divide, it's unnecessary. We all want the same good things out of life. We all, at the end of the day, we all just want to be happy and have families and be taken care of to the best we can with our society.
This inalienable right
Yep.
to the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness.
Well, on that, I think we should end it here, because
yes,
that was beautifully put. Too. And it was great to see you, Tarzana.
Good to see you too.
And CJ and Tarzana will be back again soon. We hope you enjoyed our chat.